Hello, 𝓃𝓃𓃃𓃃🂃. My name is Gints ZILBALODIS and I'm the director of Flow. I'm very honored that it has been selected as the opening film of the festival. I really wish I could have been there in person myself, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. So the story of Flow is inspired by my own experience of making this film itself. It's actually my second feature film that I've directed. I made a film called Away 5 years ago that was also shown in 𝓃𝓃𝓃𝓃𝓃. And that film and all of the short films I'd made before that I'd done entirely by myself. That means that I directed them, I wrote them and animated and did the music and everything else. So with Flow, it was my first experience working with a team. It was something that I was quite nervous about, but I really wanted to try. And it's a story that could only be done with a team, and this is something that I couldn't do myself. So I decided to tell the story about this cat who's very independent and likes to do things its own way, which is quite similar to the way I used to work. But then the cat is forced to find ways to work together and collaborate and work together with all of these different animals. So that was quite similar to the way we made the film as well. Of course, it wasn't actually that bad. When I was writing the script, I was expecting a lot of conflict and a lot of difficulties, but actually the process was a lot more smooth working with a team. And I knew that there would be no dialogues in the film, so that's the reason the animals behave like animals. They're not talking and walking on two legs like many other animated films. So without dialogues, I feel like I can express myself more with the other tools of cinema, with the camera, with the editing, with the colors and lighting and music and sound. So I think we can achieve something closer to what I consider pure cinema, which is just stories told by images and sounds. And I think this is something that can really benefit from big screen theatrical experience, because you really have to invest yourself and allow yourself to be immersed in the sounds and the big images. So I'm glad you have a chance to see it on the big screen. Another reason why the main character of the film is a cat is because I actually made a short film while I was still in school. I think it was 14 years ago I started it, and I had a cat like that at the time. So it's inspired by my own cat, and I thought cats would be really fun to animate. We can express a lot by their body movement. And I thought this story of cat overcoming its fears of water is something quite universal and can be understood by everyone around the world. And we don't need to have dialogues to explain it. So I thought it would be perfect for a story without dialogues. So the reason why I eventually ended up making animated films is that I was actually interested in also making live action films when I was younger, but I felt quite constricted with the lack of resources and the lack of people I knew in the industry. But I felt like with animation I can tell whatever stories I want, and I can have enough time to express them, and I could learn because there's no one really waiting for me. When I started out, I could just work at my own pace and learn different tools of cinema. So I think a story like Flow could only be done in animation because it's all animals and there's a lot of water and there's no dialogue. So we have to use what the strengths of animation, and we can create something that's very special that can only be done this way. For me, there's not one single maybe fulfilling moment as an animator. I enjoyed all the different aspects of filmmaking. I like that it never gets boring. Like every day I have to do something different. That means maybe one day I'm writing something, writing the script. The next day I'm working on the music, and then I'm animating or I'm designing the sets or kind of working with the team. So I like that there are like all these different kind of art forms combined in filmmaking and especially in animation. So yeah, there's no one specific moment. So regarding the messages I wanted to convey in this film, it's a difficult question to answer because this film is really intended more as an experience than a single message. But yeah, if I had to sum it up, I don't want to also like spoil it because you still haven't seen the film, but you'll have a chance to experience it for yourself. But it was really it was about kind of overcoming your fears, but also there are some fears that you can't really overcome, and maybe that's okay, and you can learn to accept them and live with them and use them to kind of for your own or others' benefits and learn from them. So it was my way of saying that yeah, there are not simple answers. You can't just fix some problems and learn how to overcome some fears. You have to kind of figure out how to live with them. Yeah, the concept was evolving quite a lot during the development process and also during production, which is, I think it's important to have this flexibility and not to be too kind of fixed upon like a certain idea, and allow some room for improvisation and spontaneity, especially in animation, which is so, I guess, like designed, everything is designed and everything is so specific, so it's important to have like room for yeah, adding new ideas. And that was important, that I had like a plan for everything. I was very prepared and I had designed the story and the shots. But when we started production, if an animator would suggest a new idea that would improve the film, or maybe sometimes that creates more work for me or someone else, because we need to change things to adapt to that new idea, it was important that we embrace those ideas if it helps, and not to be like just strictly following the plan. And I think it also allowed the team to feel more ownership of their work, and they became more passionate, I guess, because they could contribute creatively. And I think it's really fits well with the theme of the film of kind of working together. So yeah, it kept evolving. But of course, this is a pretty small film. It's an independent film, so we had to be very precise how we spent our resources. And I think that's also good, that you have to really consider your choices. And so we couldn't change too much. We could only change within the boundaries. So we had to be very precise in what we did. So in a film like this, sound and music is very important because there's no dialogue, and the music and the sound really have the main role. They're like the actor that would give a performance. So actually, I start working on the music very early when I'm still writing the script, and it gives me ideas for the story. It gives me ideas for the atmosphere and the tempo. And also when I'm editing the animatic, I don't have to use temp score from other films, which is something that sometimes happens with other productions where they use music from different films. But instead we could use original music. So I think this allowed the film to have its own kind of mood and be more specific and original. And so yes, later on we brought in another composer, 𝓃𝓃𝓃𝓃𝓃𝓃𝓃, who's much more experienced than me, And then he kept adding and improving the music, and finally we recorded everything with real instruments and real orchestra, which was a very incredible moment for me, because I'd only done the music electronically on my laptop, so hearing that orchestra was a big moment for me. And the sound as well. We were very fortunate to work with a very talented sound designer, Gurwal, who's done many famous films, and he worked on the sound for a very long time, for many months, like figuring out the voices of the characters. So he recorded real animals for all the characters. They're not human voices. And the funny thing is that Gurwal was recording his own cat, but the cat is very shy when it sees the microphone, so Gurwal had to hide the microphones all over his house to record the cat's voices. And also we went to, not we, but Gurwal went to the zoo to record capybaras. But the funny thing is that capybaras don't really speak, they're very quiet. So Gurwal had to tickle the capybara to make some sounds, but unfortunately it didn't really fit the character that we had in our film, because real capybaras sound very high-pitched. They're very kind of anxious-sounding voices, and we needed something more calm and peaceful. So we looked for other options, and finally we settled on this baby camel. So in the film, the capybara is actually voiced by a baby camel. Thank you again for coming to the opening, and I hope you enjoyed the screening.